All class 10 guys. Wish you all fantastic Friday. Sorry, it's a thundering Thursday. Okay. Today we are going to see about the human nervous system. So yesterday's class I thought about the different types of neurons, and then what is the neurotransmission and what are the neurotransmitters, isn't it? And in today's class we are going to concentrate the very important concept in the nervous system. So that's the human nervous system. Okay. So what do you mean by the nervous system? What are the parts are there in the nervous system? So already we studied about the neuron, and then the nerve cell and its structure, and what are the different types of neurons. In that itself you would have understood that it consists of nerve fibers and the nerves. Yeah. So all these nerves, from where do they start their journey? They start their journey from the central or the main controlling center of the human body, that is the brain. As we studied in our lower classes in the computer science, what is that CPU? You'd have learned about the CPU, no? The CPU is nothing but the brain of the computer, isn't it? And similarly, you would have heard about the nucleus of a cell, that is the master of the cell or brain of the cell. Similarly, in the human nervous system, which is the main controlling panel, we can say it is the brain. Yeah. So from the brain only we have all the nerves coming out, and these nerves only run throughout the body of the human. And in short we can say that these nerves only are connected to each and every part of the organs, we can say, so that all these are interconnected. We all know that human body is an interconnected organism, we can say, starting from the evolution. If you see the evolution, have you heard about the term evolution? How do the human beings start their journey? From where do that full human body came? Do you know that? Yeah, it came from the single cell, we can say. So this you would have learned in your 9th standard, class 9. Yes. So a particular living organism starts its journey from the cell only. Yeah, what is a cell? It is a basic structural and functional unit of a living organism, we can say. Yes. So we also studied about the single cell organisms and then multicellular organisms, prokaryotes, eukaryotes, everything in the class 9 itself. Yes or no? And then these cells, they will form group. They will, one cell will combine with another cell and it will form a tissue. So just an outline I am telling you. Yeah. And these tissues again they will form, okay, again the group, okay, and they will form the organ. Yeah. So for example, the nose is an organ, we can say, isn't it? So like this organ will form the organ system. So more number of organs will form an organ system. Yeah. And then this organ system will form the organism. Okay. So this is the hierarchy, we can say, from cell to organism. Okay. So like that, if you take the human nervous system, how it came, it is from the cell. It is from the small cell, the nerve cell. Yeah, like I started here. And this nerve cell again will form a tissue, and then it will form an organ, and then it will form the organ system. Yeah, so that is the nervous system. So like this we have many systems in the human body, like digestive system, that is respiratory system, reproductive system. Yeah, so we have so many systems, organ systems in the living organisms, isn't it? So like that, so all these organ systems only make the living organism. Understood? This is the organism. Okay, so if we take a unicellular organism, in that a single cell will form an organism. Okay, if we take the bisexual or the what to say, that binuclear cells, like that, if you take, no, slowly the evolution started from one cell to many cells, from single cell prokaryote to eukaryote. Okay, this is what the evolution says. Okay, but apart from all this evolution, no, how do humans differ from other living organisms? How do they differ from other living organisms? Because the humans, they have the thinking power, and they will act accordingly to their thought. Yes, but the other living organisms, they also think, but they don't act accordingly like human beings. So that we can also say that humans are having the sixth sense. So we have already seen many films based on this in Tamil and in many other languages. Okay, so why I'm coming to that topic means, how do the humans differ from other living organisms? So in order to understand that concept, I am bringing all those stories here. Okay, so now coming to the concept, so humans, they differ from living organisms in the fact that they can think and they take actions. So in that point of view, they can differentiate from other living organisms. Okay, so now today in this session, in this live session, we are going to concentrate about the human nervous system. In this, the nervous system has three parts, three systems we have. Okay, so the main system is the central nervous system. What is that? It is the central nervous system, that is CNS. C stands for central, N nervous, S is system. Okay, and the next is peripheral nervous system, and the next is autonomic nervous system. Okay, now we are going to study about the central, concentrate on the central part. Why it is called the central? Because all the information processing, all the control process will take place in the central processing system, that is the central nervous system. Okay, so this is mainly done by the brain and the spinal cord. We think, we feel hungry, we feel happy, we feel sad, we will walk, we will sleep, we will sit. Yes or no? We will respond to the stimulus. Yes or no? And then we are growing. At the same time, we are eating. Everything happens. So this is done mainly by the brain and the spinal cord. So that's known as the central nervous system. Understood? And the next is peripheral nervous system. So this system is nothing but the nerves connect the brain and the spinal cord and to all parts of the body. So the nerves are the peripheral nervous system. Is that clear? So this nerves only connect all the parts together to the brain and the spinal cord. That's known as the peripheral nervous system. Okay, and then we can also see the autonomic nervous system. That's the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so this forms the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so what are the three systems we have in human nervous system? We have central nervous system, peripheral, and the autonomous. Okay, is that clear about the nervous system today's class? Yeah, now we will concentrate in the next session. So what is the central nervous system? So if you look at the central nervous system, look at this picture. So the main part of the central nervous system is the brain. I told you, no, like CPU in the computer system, you have the brain in the human system. That is the main part. Okay, that is the CNS. Clear? So now here, if you take the brain, no, the brain, it is a delicate part. It is a very soft tissue. It has to be protected, okay, from any injury, from mechanical injury or any shock. Okay, of course we can say that 60 percentage of the human body is fat, which is mainly present in the brain only. The brain is the 60 percentage fat content, we can say. So this brain is has to be protected first. It has to be protected, no, then only it can do its function. Okay, so that it is protected by the skull. You know the skull, there's a skeletal system which covers the brain, that's known as the skull. Okay, and the spinal cord which comes out from the brain, no, it should be also be protected, because this is also a soft tissue, delicate tissue. Okay, so it is protected by the vertebral column. So if you touch your neck part, no, if you touch your neck part from the head, no, you can feel your spinal cord coming from the brain, and then it is being protected inside the vertebral column. So you should be very careful with your backbone as well as your head part. Okay, so now if coming to the brain, this if I have chosen a small portion, the small black, no, I have chosen and I have enlarged it in a colorful manner. So if you see that it is the brain is covered by the connective tissue membrane is known as the meninges. What's that? It's the meninges. And this meninges has three layers, three membranes, we can say. Okay, so the outermost membrane is the duro mater, and the innermost membrane is known as the arachnoid mater, and the inner, that is most innermost, this one is in the pia mater. So the outer is duro mater, and the middle one is arachnoid mater, and the innermost is pia mater. So these are the membranes of the meninges. This meninges only is the outer connective tissue which protect the brain, we can say, and above that only we have the skull. Okay, now look at this picture. I have given very clearly the outermost layer is known as the duro mater, and the innermost, the thick, there is middle one. The middle one is known as the arachnoid mater, and the inner one is blue color, light blue color, is known as the pia mater. Okay, so now I told you that the brain is protected with the help of the skull, and the spinal cord is protected by the vertebral column. Okay, myelinated sheath and a non-myelinated sheath. If you are not clear with that, I will share the link with this live session, yesterday's class. Okay, so you can understand better. So in that I told you the myelinated sheath, no, it is the white matter of the brain, and the non-myelinated is the gray matter of the brain. Okay, so the central nervous system has two types of matter, that's the white matter and the gray matter. In that, the white matter is the myelinated matter, and the gray matter is the non-myelinated matter. Okay, now coming to the meninges, I already told you that it is the connective tissue membrane which protects the brain from the mechanical injury. It is the meninges. Yes, below the skull, no, the brain is protected with the help of a connective tissue that is known as the meninges. This meninges only protects the brain from any mechanical injury. It understood? So that from this you can understand that brain is a delicate part of the body, more delicate part. That's why your head part is very, it should be very strong. You should not get any hurt on your head part, because only if the head is in a good condition, remaining part will function properly, because inside the head only you have your brain, that's the master or the central processing unit which is present in the human body. Okay, and the next we are going to see about that. I told you very clearly that as CPU in the computer, we have the central nervous system in human. Okay, now we all know that brain is the controlling center of all the human activities, the body activities. Okay, now let me explain all the three membranes of the meninges. What is this meninges? This meninges is nothing but the connective tissue membrane of the brain, and it has three layers. Just now I showed you in the picture. The outer layer is known as the dura mater. It is very tough and thick fibrous membrane, we can say that. And then the middle one is known as the middle thin vascular web like cushion that will protect the brain. See, our brain is having one cushion layer that's known as nothing, the arachnoid membrane. This cushion only will protect our brain again in turn. And then innermost layer is known as the pyometer, and this pyometer is nothing but the thin, delicate, and equally enriched with blood, highly supplied with blood, we can say. Okay, clear? So these are the three membranes of the meninges. What are they? Dura mater, arachnoid mater, and the pyometer. Am I clear? Shall I proceed with a further one? Yeah. So today we started the session with a human nervous system, and I started the session with the evolution process and how the living organism came from a single cell, and how do the living organism, that is like human being, differ from the other living organisms. Yeah. So we think that's the main difference from other living organisms, isn't it? So how do we think? With the help of the brain. The brain is the what to say, the central processing unit within the human body. I said it is the one which is going to give signals, send information by receiving the stimulus from the environment. Okay, it will give response. Yesterday we studied about the neurotransmission. How do that neurotransmitters react, isn't it? So now today, now I am going to give a general outline alone in this session, the human brain, what are the parts we have in the human brain, and tomorrow we will study about in detail the human brain, all the parts in detail. Okay, so now let us learn only the outline. Just learn what are the parts of the human brain. Okay, if you take the human brain, it has three parts. What are they? It is the forebrain, midbrain, and the hindbrain. And then if you take the forebrain, you have two parts. They are the cerebrum and then the diencephalon. Again, this diencephalon has two parts, dorsal thalamus and the ventral hypothalamus. Dorsal means outside, ventral means inner, inside. Okay, and then if you take the midbrain has the corpora quadrigemina. It is an important part of the midbrain that let me explain in detail in tomorrow's session. Okay, next is the hindbrain. The hindbrain consists of the cerebellum, pons, and the medulla oblongata. So these are the outline structure of the human brain. Okay, shall I repeat? So it's nothing but the forebrain, midbrain, and the hindbrain. So you can think that only one brain we have. In the three brains are there. They are nothing but the parts. Fore means the upper part, mid means the middle part, and the hind means the hind. That is the last part, third part we can say. Okay, and then what is the forebrain consist of? The forebrain consists of the cerebrum and the diencephalon, and in diencephalon we have two parts, dorsal thalamus and then ventral hypothalamus. Dorsal means outer, in ventral means inner side. Okay, outer side will have the thalamus and innermost part is known as the hypothalamus. And then the midbrain, you have the corpora quadrigemina. It is a part present in the midbrain. And then hindbrain, it has three parts, namely cerebellum, pons, and the medulla oblongata. Okay, so this is the outline of the human brain. And for our human brain to function properly, we need the supply of essential fatty acids for the proper functioning of the brain, so that this essential fatty acids only will give more energy, more power to the brain. That's why our parents, our elders will keep on advising us eat lot of essential fatty acid rich food. Okay, because these essential fatty acids only, they will make the brain's integrity and ability, so that if our brain functions properly only, we can able to react accordingly and we can lead our life successfully. Yes or no? So that your essential fatty acid rich food are the fish, green leafy vegetables, almonds, and then walnuts are all rich in essential fatty acids. Is that clear? So we have to eat these kind of essential fatty acid rich food. Okay, have you understood? So that only our brain will be very hard worker. Is our brain is a hard worker only during sleep time? We won't think. But then also all the other processes is going on till the end of our life. Yes or no? Yeah. So I'm sorry I couldn't that is, give a answer to your comments. Ma'am, who is that? I have already thought the neuron. I can share my, that is all the links I have shared with the live sessions. You can go and take the notes from that, because yesterday only I thought the neurons. Who is this? I don't know who is this. GK for kids, they are asking. Yesterday's session I have done with a neuron. I will share the link with this. Okay, you can get the session from the neuron session. Yes. Mm. And then in today's class I am continuing with the human nervous system, and I have given the introduction part, and then I told about what are the parts of the human nervous system, and now I have started the human brain. Okay, so now I told you that for your proper functioning of the human brain, you need the essential fatty acids supply that's are rich in fish, green leafy vegetables, almond, walnuts. So these are all essential fatty acids. Why it is called essential fatty acid? Why it is called essential? Because these essential fatty acids, they are not synthesized in the human body. Okay, they have to be taken from the food only. That's why they are known as the essential fatty acids. Okay, essential means we need from the outside. Understood? So they cannot be synthesized in our body. It has to be fed through the food. That is through this fish, green leafy vegetables, almonds, and then walnuts. They are all rich in essential fatty acids. Is that clear? So hope you would have understood all the concepts in today's session, I think. Yeah. So I have started the session. Now we will have a recap of the session. So recap is, so I started the session with the human nervous system. What are the human nervous system? It consists of three parts: central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomic nervous system. And then the central nervous system is the information processing and control system, where you have brain and spinal cord. And then the peripheral nervous system is the nerves that connect the brain and the spinal cord to other parts of the body. And then we have the autonomous nervous system. They are made up of sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. So these we will see in detail in tomorrow after seeing the human brain. Okay, so next is the central nervous system. I started the session with the central nervous system. So here I told you that the brain is covered with a what to say, protective covering, that's the skull. The skull only will protect the brain, and similarly the spinal cord, which is continuous from the brain, is protected by the vertebral column. Okay, so the skull and the vertebral column, they are the skeletal system which protects the body. Okay, and I told you what are the various systems which is essential for the living organism, particularly in human beings, and how do the human beings differ from the other living organisms, the way they think and they take actions accordingly. That's the main difference between the human being and the other living organism. So how do they think? With the help of the main organ that's known as the brain. Okay, and this brain has the outer connective tissue known as the meninges, and it has three layers. The outer layer is known as the tough fibrous layer, the dura mater, and the middle one is known as the arachnoid matter, which is the thin vascular membrane, and the innermost is known as the pia mater, is a thin and delicate membrane. So again I'll explain that in detail. And then next is Yesterday's class in neuron types of nerve fibers, I told you there are two types of fibers. There are myelinated fibers and the non-myelinated fibers, isn't it? So you have the white matter, that's the myelin sheath, and you have the non-myelin sheath matter, that's the gray matter. So brain has two matters, white matter and the gray matter. One in myelinated, and another one is non-myelinated. They protect, that's the difference. White matter is will be protected by the myelin sheath. No, gray matter will not be protected by the myelin sheath. Okay, and already I told you what is the function of the meninges. It protects the brain from the mechanical injury and any other shock. Okay, and then I told you that CPU in the computer system, similarly central nervous system in the human brain, I told you. And then brain is the controlling center of all the body activities, isn't it? Yeah, and just now I showed you durometer, arachnoid meter, and that pyometer. So durometer is the outermost thick fibrous membrane, and arachnoid is the middle thin vascular, it's a cushion membrane, we can say. And then the last one is the pyometer, is the innermost, very very delicate and highly enriched with the blood, is supplied with the blood. Okay, so these are the three membranes that protect the brain before you enter into the structure of the brain. Okay, and I told you the general outline of the brain. They are nothing but the forebrain, and then the midbrain and the hindbrain. Okay, so the forebrain is the cerebrum and the diencephalon. Diencephalon in turn have two parts, outer thalamus and inner hypothalamus, that is dorsal and ventral. Dorsal is outer thalamus and the inner is the ventral hypothalamus. And the next is middle one, midbrain will have the corpora quadrigemina, and then the hindbrain will have the cerebellum, pons, and the medulla oblongata. So today in this class I gave only the general outline of the human brain, and the human brain in detail will be taught tomorrow in the live session. I'll post the time, that is within in the evening. Okay, at what time we will come tomorrow for the live session. Okay, and apart from that, for the normal human brain functioning we need the essential fatty acids, because our 60% of the brain is made up of fat. And then the essential fatty acids are very essential. Why? Because they are not synthesized in our body, they are to be taken only through the food. They are the fish, green leafy vegetables, almond and walnut. They are all rich in essential fatty acids. Okay, so thank you so much for coming and attending this live session on the human nervous system for class 10. Wish you all the best, and tomorrow we will meet in the live session with the human brain in detail. Okay, and easy and simple concepts only. Everything is easy in this life. Only if you have the willingness to learn the new things, anything is possible. Okay, thank you. We'll see you in the next class. Bye bye.